Welcome to Real Love 101. 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 Class is now in session. We breaking the misconception of love. Class is now in session. We breaking the misconception of love. Welcome to Real Love 101. 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 What's up, family? It's good to be back for another episode. I don't know what happened with my thing a few minutes ago. I don't know why that happened, but welcome to another episode with Clifton Brandley. We are talking about marriage in real life. And so today's episode is going to be a little light. All right, a little light. So I believe someone left a comment. I can't remember if it was a comment or an email, but someone said, that um, the things that I'm sharing are really helpful, but they need to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I said, I can understand that and I can oblige. So this episode, I want to talk a little bit about the brighter side of marriage. But to do that, what I thought I would do is talk about the different phases of marriage and like why things turn the way they turn. Right? When we get married, when do we get to the good part? If the therapist says nobody marries who they think they marry, nobody is really who they think they are. Like your partner, when you married them, or at least at some point when you first met them, when you first fell in love, you fell in love with your idea of who they are. It wasn't really the real them. So then we get married and we go through all this stuff, and hey, this is not the person I married. This is not what I signed up for. I didn't know this came in my spouse box. What am I going to do? Well, I'll talk a little bit about that tonight, and kind of help you be hopeful, because we're going to get to the good part. Here's what the Bible says. Don't be weary in well doing. You will reap a harvest if you don't give up. And that's one of the things I can just start there and encourage you. If you're married, because see, all of us at some point probably think we married the wrong person. I think we're married to someone who's just, hey, this person is just off or whatever, right? But if you don't get weary in doing well, you'll reap a harvest. The problem is, it says don't get weary in doing well. It didn't say, don't get weary, just period. Although, that is the premise, don't get weary. But what I'm saying is, just because you're doing marriage and it's been a while, don't think it's going to get better with time. Right? That's a myth that marriage is just going to get better with time. It won't get better with time. It gets better with time mixed with work. And I know some folks say, well, you don't work at marriage. Well, it kind of depends on how you define work, right? It ain't going to work itself. It's not going to, maybe you're not working on the marriage, but working on me is working on my marriage. As I work on the barriers that keep me from loving my wife the way God wants me to, that's working on the marriage, right? So anyway, talk about these phases of marriage and how to move from one phase to another, and how not to get stuck in the third phase, which is where most people, when they get to phase 3 of marriage, that's where they typically divorce. I want to help you not do that, right? But before I do that, I want to address this one thing. It's kind of off topic, but I want to address this one thing because it's been on my mind, right? When you get married, if you marry someone, I probably should say this for another episode, but it's just something it's been on my mind. I'm sorry. And maybe if you marry someone and you guys get together and y'all have children already, like from other places, don't think that all of the quote unquote marriage rules or marriage, like y'all don't have a normal situation. And so, like when it comes to parenting, if you come into a child's life, now this is the gospel according to Clifton. This is what I believe based on my experience and my own research. If you come into a child's life after the age of 5, maybe 6, but after the age of 5, then you may just have to give the primary parent or the biological parent all of the responsibility of discipline. It's difficult for you to discipline a child coming in after the age of 5 or 6 because see, children don't understand discipline. Now they need it, but they don't understand it. And so if number one, if you come in and the way you discipline, the love isn't obvious to the child, but you're going to injure the child because you haven't built a love bridge on which you can discipline this child and they still feel loved by you. Like the biological parent can probably, I don't condone yelling, but the biological parent can yell at the child and the child still, well, that's still my mama or that's still my daddy, but not you. Right. And again, I'm not condoning yelling at all. Right. We don't yell at human beings. That's my philosophy. You understand? We don't yell at human beings. I know some of y'all rolling your eyes right now, but we don't yell at human beings. Okay. So I just wanted to tell you that. Stop thinking that, yes, we're married and this is so you're a woman, you get married, you have a husband, and you were raising boys, and now you got a husband come in and now he wants to discipline your son or sons in the way that he believe is right, but because he don't have that love relationship with your son, he's going to injure your son more than help him. It may be unfortunate, and you may not, man, I don't know how to raise a boy. You made some choices in your life that now you're going to make the child pay for because you won't mature. The reality is, mom, you got to learn how to discipline a boy. You got to learn how to do things that maybe you wouldn't have to do if you had stayed with the father. And I'm not promoting staying with. Here's what I'm promoting: realistic expectations. That's really all I'm talking about. Okay, so let me get to what I really want to talk about tonight. These phases of marriage. When do we get to the good part? People don't understand. I think I've only taught this one time, right? So I'll put a link somewhere for you to watch the previous video where I went deeper into these 5 phases because I'm not going to go deep into them tonight. But I just want to talk about it a little bit and then talk about, like I say, a little bit of the good side of marriage because marriage is not all bad. I didn't create this podcast to make people feel bad. I created it to give you give you a reality, but also to help you, like help you overcome the stuff that marriage just brings with it by being connected to a broken, flawed human being. Okay, so the first phase of what I call marriage or any really serious relationship, the first phase is called euphoria. Now, you can tell by the name euphoria. Euphoria means it's not real, right? Euphoria, that's the stage when we are so in love. Everything about them is wonderful, right? It's in the euphoria stage where most people actually injure themselves because they overlook red flags. Like that flag was red. That wasn't green or yellow. But because we're in euphoria, we everything is just so fantastical, right? And the thing that makes the euphoria stage so great is really how much grace and understanding you have in the beginning. And I think I could say it's not just the grace and understanding, but what looks like grace and understanding. It's really you saying, I wonder if that's a problem. Nah, that's probably not a problem. You're not looking at that and saying, hey, they're wrong, but I'm going to extend grace. Or they're wrong, but I understand. That's not really what's happening. But that's what it seems like because in the beginning, we're so caught up in how good it feels. And that's what I tell people all the time. Like if you're trying to gauge the health of your marriage or your relationship based on how you feel, like your feelings change not by the day, by the minute. So you can't gauge it by that, right? We overlook a lot of things in the beginning. Why? Because we are in euphoria, and then the things that we overlook in the beginning, they become the things that we end up fighting about later on. I remember a few weeks ago, I discovered some things that's been frustrating me in my marriage. And then when I thought about it, I was like, wait a minute. This has been going on since the beginning. And when I realized that, I had to reduce my frustration. Why? Because if it's been going on since the beginning, it means I chose her that way. It also means she's that way not because of me. And so maybe I need to extend more grace and understanding because she wasn't created for me. She wasn't created with me in mind. She wasn't created. My wife wasn't raised to love me. My wife wasn't raised to be the wife that I need. Neither was your wife. Neither was your husband. I know it may feel like that at some point. When you're in euphoria, it feels like that. But then when euphoria begins to wear off, we start to get into the stage of reality. Phase two is called the reality phase. In the reality phase, that's when you start to see their flaws. That's when you start to see, oh, that thing that I thought was not real, it is real. I thought they act like that because they had got drunk, but I didn't realize they get drunk all the time. And so now reality is I got to do something with this information. See, in euphoria, we pretty much operate on automatic, right? So I live in Houston, Texas, right? And Houston is huge. It's a big city. And if you're on the north side and you and if you're on the north side, the south side is far from the north side, right? So I live on the south side. Now I grew up on the north side, but I live on the south side now. And when I was dating, I was not interested in dating anybody from the north side. Why? Because I knew, number one, we're going to meet. Let's say we meet out somewhere. We might meet on the south side. Once I find out you're on the north side, I'm like, nah. Why? Because I might start liking you. I might fall in love. I understand that in the euphoria stage, it costs me nothing to drive to the north side to come see you. Hey, I'm on my way. I'm on the beltway. But then when we get to the reality phase, I know me. I'm not driving way over there. So then our relationship is going to start to feel like it's one sided, and you're going to start to feel frustrated, and you're going to start to feel like, he don't never want to, right? So I don't even deal with that because in euphoria, I know I'll be driving to the north side, but in reality, when I get to the reality stage, I'm not doing that because I know me. Here's the point that I'm making because this same thing happens to you. When you're in euphoria, you believe things that are not real. You think you love them more than you do. You think they love you more than they do. You think you can handle more than you can handle. You tend to put up with more than you would normally put up with. And then when reality sets in, that's when we really start complaining about our stuff. And you may, like, reality may come soon after the wedding day. I have people that are doing premarital therapy with me, right? Premarital counseling, and the stuff they're dealing with, they're in the reality phase. They're moving quickly to the third phase. I haven't talked about it yet, but they're in the reality phase and they're not liking what they see. See, in the reality phase, let me tell you about, I'll just talk about me and my marriage. In the reality phase, I learned that me and my wife couldn't have healthy communications um, about problems. I I didn't know that in the euphoria stage. But watch this. It happened in euphoria stage, but I overlooked it. That's just because we knew. That's just because, you know, we just ain't blah, blah, blah. But no, no, no. In the reality phase, I realized no. Now I'm gonna just talk about me. I'm not gonna talk about my wife, right? That's her business. Talk about her reality. But for me, no, there's a little boy inside. You thought he had matured, but this marriage is showing you he hadn't. The reality is your wounded child inside has been running the show more than you would like to admit. So I had to go to work on me, right? But that wasn't the first thing I did. The first thing I did was complain about her. You know why I complained about her? Because she had things to complain about. If she had been perfect, I would have went straight to my own mirror. But because she wasn't perfect, I blamed her for my stuff. just like you blame your partner for your stuff. Do you understand? Your partner is not responsible for how you love them. Your partner's not responsible for how you love them. If you're using the excuse, well, I've pulled my love back because of how they treat me, that's on you. That's a choice you made. But you are in control of your love. And so when you're in the reality phase, it's hard. See, in euphoria, love flows automatically. But in reality, I got to make a choice to get up early in the morning to walk you to the door. Y'all not even. Yes, that's so for some of you, y'all fighting because he didn't get up and walk to the door. Listen, the stuff that y'all fighting about, if you tell it to another couple, they're gonna be like, y'all fighting about that? Because at the end of the day, all of it is probably small stuff. Most of it is small stuff. But anyway, talking about reality. So you get into the reality phase, and it's like, um, I don't like the way they chew. I don't like their female friends. I don't like their male friends. Hey, this is too much for me. They share too much. They don't share enough. You're not open enough. You don't never express yourself. I never know how you feel. All this happens in the reality phase. And then from reality, we move quickly, unfortunately, to phase 3. Now, phase 3 is where all hell breaks loose. It's where the chaos is. It's where people usually get off the highway of marriage. I need to exit here. Phase 3 is the frustration phase. Yep, frustration. Euphoria, reality, and then frustration. What is that? That's when we haven't handled reality well, and now I'm frustrated. So, frustration is a result of unmet expectations. All of us come to marriage with expectations. We don't even, some of the expectations we have, we don't even know we have them. We realize we have them when they're not being met. But either way, these are expectations that are not communicated. But I have them. And so you got expectations for your partner that you created before you ever met your partner. You expected, ladies, you expected your husband, when you get a husband, you expected him to lead you like a real leader. You expected him to love you like they do in the movies. You expected him to express his emotions. You expected him to handle you gently. But that ain't who you chose. The box that none of that was on the box that you chose. So now you're frustrated because you thought because he's a good-looking man, a decent man, an intelligent man, a smart man, then he must be all these things as a husband. And now you're realizing either my eyes were wrong or he lied. Your eyes were wrong. He didn't lie. Even if he held some stuff back, he didn't lie. Because even if he was pretending, and I'm not saying that folk can't get tricked, but like how long did y'all date? Because the stuff that you see, is it really, be honest, is it really completely different than what you saw in the euphoria and the reality stage? But anyway, in stage 3, in the frustration, that's where we're fighting all the time. It's where we build walls. Hold on, guys. I tried to hold that, but I couldn't. And this is live, but I'm gonna have to drink something. So give me a second, cause my throat, and I only had this big jug, so I'm gonna have to put my screensaver up before I. Woo! Give me a second. Y'all can still hear me though, right? Uh, so I'm gonna talk to you while I'm drinking this water. I can't talk to you while I'm drinking the water, but so like if we was married, if this was a marriage, this might go into your this will be frustrating for you. I can't believe I come to watch this brother and he do this in our relationship. He put up the screen. Well, why wasn't you ready? Why didn't you clear your throat before you got online? Let me drink this water. Okay, I think what y'all don't know. What y'all don't know is I almost died trying to drink that water. If this wasn't live, this episode would not go online. But here I is. Talking about the frustration stage. So in the frustration stage, that's when Like you build these walls up. So what you really do, you create an image, not an image, but you have a box in your mind that you put your partner in because you think you know them. But you're looking through the lens. It feels like my mustache is still wet. I don't want water all on my lip. I told you I almost died. You you as you're walking through the frustration phase, first understand, I forgot what I was just gonna say, but let me say this. Understand that it's normal. It's gonna come regardless. So when you was at the altar and you said, for better, for worse, for rich, for poor, in sickness and health, till death do us part. When you said for better, for worse, did you understand that worse was coming? Inevitably. Like, I know I'm supposed to be giving y'all the good part. I'm getting to it. Give me, hold on. But you said for better, for worse, meaning when worse shows up, you were going to stay. But when we get to the frustration stage and worse shows up, it's like, I don't want this. You know why I don't want it? Because you are not loving me correctly. That's the mindset of the culture. You aren't doing something for me. When in reality, in marriage, I'm supposed to show up to do for you. If I'm more focused on what you're doing for me than what I'm doing for you, we in trouble. So I'm trying to help you. Don't be that way in your marriage. Don't be focused more on what you're getting. Focus more on what you're giving. In the frustration stage, we can't talk. And if you're not careful, you will start to demonize your partner. You will start to make them worse than they really are. Let me just tell a little bit about my situation. So I remember me and my wife was like deep, deep, deep into the frustration stage. Uh, I thought this ain't gonna work. I thought I'd have made a mistake again. I thought this girl is crazy, right? And I'm more than sure she thought a lot of the same, the same things. I can't. She's never been married before. I can't believe this is marriage. And my wife, she told me some of her unrealistic expectations that was leading to her frustration. And when she would tell me some of them, I was like, "What?" But the expectations I had of her, she didn't. But she could have been like, "What? Why would you ever think I was that person?" But it was a time when so I showed up to the relationship. I showed up to the marriage, and my area of deficiency was in um let me say it this way. My trigger was being ignored, right? So I couldn't handle if I felt like you were ignoring me. By the way, if it's something you can't handle, you need to work on that. It's going to harm your marriage, I'm telling you. It doesn't. So your partner pushing your button is not the issue. Your issue is the fact that you have the button. You have to deactivate it. So whenever my wife would push that button of I thought ignoring me, I would spin out of control. But then I matured to where I stopped spinning out of control. But watch this. She was still pushing the button. Like she's still going the way that she's going. And I'm like, man, and I'm giving y'all the fast version because this took years, right? I'm like, man, I've grown. So that don't bother me anymore. But why are you still doing that? Fast forward, we get to a place in our marriage where the reason we started to come out of the frustration phase when we did was because um, let me just talk about my side. I started to see things that would have never made sense to me in another life, in another world. And the only reason it made sense is because I literally took my blinders off. What are my blinders? How I thought marriage should be. My idea of what a wife should be. Not only that, my idea of how a person, because see, I study human behavior. And because I study human behavior, I know everything. And because I know everything, I know the way you're acting isn't because of that, it's because of that. Because of that. I can say that. Yeah, because of that. But lo and behold, what I found out was I was wrong. And even to this day, some of the things, and I believe this is what makes me effective with my couples, some of the things that I've learned in this marriage that are normal and let me just say normal still shock me. Like, still, I'm like, I was really that confused. Like, I can't share the details because I mean, I can't share you all my business, but just trust me when I tell you, if you're married and y'all love each other, don't quit. Like, keep fighting. I know it's hard. I know it seems like they got it in for you, but if y'all love each other, keep pushing. So, uh, fast forward. So, me and my wife, we get out the frustration stage. The next stage after that is the growth stage, right? We go through the growth stage. It's called the growth and learning stage. This is where you really learn how to do marriage, right? Growth and learning. That's stage 4. After the frustration, if you decide not to divorce, you say, you know what? This ain't working. I'm not who I thought I was. They're not who they thought they were. They're not who I thought they were. We need to grow. So then you start working and you're growing and you're learning. And it's in that stage where the magic is built. It's in that stage where you refound the foundation and you build a solid marriage if you do it the way God said, right? And so this is the, uh, for my person, whoever you are. So you need a light at the end of the tunnel. Here's the light at the end of the tunnel. Now I'm gonna try to give you this light because I'm talking about my situation without giving you too much of my situation, right? But I'm in a regular marriage with a regular wife. I'm a regular human being. We've had some dark times. And in our dark times, one or both of us was like, yeah, I don't know if this is going to work. Okay. But now coming through that, I learned something just this week. Um, like we've been in the stage 4, I would say, for a while. Actually, if I'm honest, we probably go from 3 to 4, 3 to 4, 3 to 4. But I think that's normal. But this week in this 4th stage in the growth and learning, I learned something this week that I want to share because uh, I just want to give my wife some public flowers because it kind of blew my mind. So one of the issues in our marriage has been me feeling like my wife isn't showing up enough, like showing up in the marriage, like you know, if you love me, like show some signs, right? Not that there were no signs. I'm just saying, like my complaint was, hey, like, so I'm doing this, I'm buying flowers, I'm doing different things or whatever, and I was always questioning the depth of my wife's love. What I learned this week was those questions were mostly because of me and not because of her. And what I saw this week, so my love for her shows up one way. And because her love for me wasn't showing up the same way, and because I'm smart, y'all got to understand that I'm smart. You have to understand that I know everything. Okay? Like I'm close to omniscient when it comes to relationships. I know everything. I hope y'all know I'm playing right. But I know everything. And so if I show up this way, because I know human behavior, you're supposed to show up this way. Why aren't you showing up this way? It must mean you don't care like I do. And I was there for a while. This week, uh, my wife, how do I describe it? So my wife showed me something that I teach that I must have forgot that I teach all of the time. Let me tell you what it is. Love is not a feeling. Love is not about making you feel special. Love is not about making you feel good. Love is not making you. Love is not about lighting you up like a Christmas tree. I talk about that. That that's good. I like that. But love ain't really that. And so all this time when I'm looking for signs from my wife that she loved me, there have been signs. There have been signs, but I was missing them because I was looking for a certain thing. And I hope this is helping somebody because your partner loving you, you're missing it because you're looking for something specific. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't look for that, but don't ignore what love is. And so here's what I believe is the real measurement of the love in your relationship. Does love show up when life is difficult? Right? Does love show up when life is difficult? And so this week, I had a couple of things going on, and primarily I had a medical procedure. When I tell you, my wife was the reigning MVP this week. It helped me see. I knew my wife loved me, but I was complaining. I kept complaining about feeling it. And now, so on national TV, it's not TV, but anyway, on national TV, I got to repent and tell my wife I'm sorry, right? Because the way her love showed up this week is how I tell folk love shows up. You can't see you like you think you can see you. I didn't know that I was looking at my wife the way I was looking at her. But the way her love showed up this week, and I was able to see it, then I began to look backwards and I could see her love always showed up that way. And I said, well, I be doggone. I'm sitting up here complaining. I'm sitting up here thinking whatever I'm thinking, and she's just loving consistently the way that she loved. Because you've heard me say, so you know I'm pretty much anti love languages. I'm the one that said, wisdom says, find out how your partner loves and then learn to accept and appreciate that, as opposed to, you figuring out what makes you feel good and then tell your partner to do that. The first one is more real. So in this fourth stage of growth and learning, what I've discovered is my wife has been loving me in a way that I just wasn't able to see. Why? Because I was looking for something else. A lot of you are looking for something else. And so your marriage may not be as upside down as you think. Your marriage may not be as sideways as you think. Now, maybe it is. But what I'm saying is, it may be as simple as you changing your perspective. So then, stage five, after the growth and learning stage, then stage five is just successful marriage, right? The way you have a successful marriage is by living in stage four. Stage four is where you continually grow, you continually learn. You're constantly learning about your partner. You're constantly growing, and you're constantly growing spiritually, right? Because had it not been for God, had it not been for the God in me, I don't think I'd have saw what I saw this week. But because me and my wife pray together like we do, and because I believe um, God is pro marriage, because marriage is God's idea, I was able to see. I don't know how I would have been able to see this if God hadn't revealed it. That's my point. Because I'm me. I got the same eyes I've been having. But I believe with God coming in and saying, hey, pay attention, sir. He might have slapped me across the head. I don't know. But I got it. My point is this, guys. Your marriage may not be as bad as you think. It may be your eyes. My wife, like, I can tell you, I can share this with you. Just today, I was thinking about something. And this thing that I kept thinking about kept coming to my mind. And I had to keep telling myself, bruh, that's not something to worry about. And it's not. I'm not talking myself into not worrying about something I need to be concerned about. It's really something that's not a problem, but it keeps being a problem for me. So I have to keep telling my inner child, sit down and be quiet. And I'm sharing that with you to say there are things inside of you that's going to frustrate you, but that's not a real frustration. Don't take that to your partner. Understand that you're frustrated, but you need to work on that's a you issue. That's not a them issue. I'm telling you, some stuff is not them. And so several times today I had to tell myself, sir, you tripping. You tripping. And I calm myself down. Has nothing to do with my wife. Nothing at all. 100% to do with me. Right? So when we're gonna get to the good part, after you make the decision to push through phase 3, which is the frustration, and decide to grow. You're going to get to the good part when you become the person that will do the things to have the marriage that you need, the be, do, have principle. You're going to get to the good stuff when you decide that personal development is your number one priority. Because no matter how you showed up, If you keep working on you, you're going to become better. And what better gift can you give your partner than a better you? The best thing you could do for your marriage is to become better. Become a better lover, become a better forgiver, and become a better appreciator. Appreciate your partner. All of us want to be appreciated, right? So hopefully that was helpful for you. Uh, marriage works if you work. Marriage works if you do. Just like when you work with me, therapy works if you do. But marriage works if you do. Stop being focused on what they're giving you. You commit yourself to becoming better for them. Why? Because that's what you signed up to do. And you didn't say for better, for worse, unless. There was no unless in your vows. Now, if it was, why y'all shouldn't have got married. But there was no unless in your. I'll love you unless you nag. I'll love you unless you don't put me first. Unless you disrespect me. Unless you come home late. Unless you drink too much. You ain't say none of that. And I know that the way we're supposed to love in marriage, the way I talk about it, it's not easy. But just think about what God has done for you. Like for real. Think about what he's forgiven for you. Think about what he's put up with. Think about how the intensity of his love has never decreased, even with your sin. Because I heard this, I think that was earlier this week. And I thought this is, that's a great way to explain that. Here's what forgiveness is when it comes to God. The Bible says that God will forgive your sins and throw them into the sea of forgiveness and remember them no more. It's not saying that God forgot. You understand God's not crazy. Like, he didn't just lose his memory. When you say, Lord, forgive me, he don't just poof pow. No, he knows what you did. But because of his son, if you're in him, he chooses to treat you like you didn't do it. That's the thing. And so when you forgive your partner, I know they injured you, but can you treat them like they didn't? Can you love them like they did not injure you? That's the test of your maturity. That's where I want you to get to. Because when you get there, your marriage gets closer to what we call unstoppable. You know what I'm saying? All right. So that is, I think I'm gonna end with this one today. And let me end with my, was it Jerry Springer? Jerry Springer had his final thought. Here's my final thought. I just wanted to formally introduce myself as Mr. G Status. Turn it down a little bit more. Welcome to Real Love 101. Here we go. My final thought. My final thought is this. Marriage is God's idea. When you do it the way he says do it, it's 100% success rate. But that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. But you can have a great marriage. You can, wherever you are, no matter where you start, you can have a better marriage because you can always become better. If you're stuck in the frustration stage, don't give up. Get some help, right? You understand that you only know what you know, but you don't know what you don't know. And maybe the answer to your problems are outside of your realm of knowledge, right? What I mean, you don't know what you don't know. Like before you met me or before you saw me, you didn't know me. But I existed. The answer to your problem may be outside of your awareness as well, right? So don't give up. Keep pushing. Get some help. Like sometimes there are behaviors that need to change, right? When I say keep loving, I don't mean flowers and like balloons. I mean real love. Love is sacrificial giving for the benefit of the other. That outro didn't last long, did it? I need a different outro. We'll go with that one. I don't like that one either. There we go. I like that one. Make being a better partner your business. You can get to the good part. There is a good part. There's magic in marriage when you work at it. Listen, I got something really special for you guys, I believe. Hopefully next time. I shot an episode with a co-host. And so we're going to see how that go. I wasn't able to finish editing that for today, but hopefully the next episode you'll have that, and because I'm gonna try a different format with you guys. But listen, I hope this encourages. I hope it lifts you up. I hope it encourages you to keep going, to keep fighting, to keep pushing through. Right? Stop focusing on what you can get out of the marriage and what you can get. Like my friend Dr. Rick Marks says, are you a source of pain or pleasure for your partner? Ask yourself that. Are you a source of pain or a source of pleasure? All right. Listen, y'all take care. I'll see y'all next time.